They can craft something, by February 8th or thereabouts, and then
Well,
what do you think?
if we don't make it by February 8th, Neil, civilization won't end. I mean, as long as the Democrats don't shut government down again, then McConnell will put a bill on the floor, some bill. He hasn't said which one, for us to start debating, and we'll have an open amendment process. But I can tell you, I believe Senator McConnell when he says if the Democrats shut down government again for 320 million Americans over an issue that's not an emergency. And I'm not saying it's DACA immigrants aren't important. What I'm saying is not a single one of them is in danger of being deported. There isn't an emergency here. The president controls deportation policy. He said that he wouldn't even talk about deportation until March. And if we went to him, he'd probably give us more time. So why is this an emergency?
Right.
I'm not saying it's not important. But why did we shut down the Center for Disease Control? Why did we shut down opioid treatment centers? Why did we send home every civilian worker at our military bases, without whom those bases can't operate? I mean, for what? There's no emergency here. This has not been the Senate's finest hour, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it wasn't a Lincoln moment, to your point. Senator Kennedy, thank you very, very much, sir. The senator's colleague, Susan Collins of the fine state of Maine, is speaking to the press right now. She ended up being a yes vote on this measure. Senators Mike Lee and Rand Paul are the only Republicans who voted no.
And what we shared in common was a determination to accomplish the goal of reopening government, convincing our leaders that there was a path forward that would also accommodate those of us who are concerned about the fate of the dreamers who live in this country, many of whom have known no other country as their home. There are many other issues that we need to deal with, ranging from budget caps, including the urgent need for additional defense spending, and for the opioid crisis. And that is a crisis that affects both of our states. But today, we've taken a significant step forward with more than 80 senators voting to reopen government, and with a commitment from the Republican leader to bring an immigration bill to the floor with ample opportunity for those with differing views to offer up substitutes to a bill.
And the only thing I like to say is that one thing that unites us here is our military, our veterans, those who have served and those who are continuing to serve and defend our country. That's extremely important to all of us, whether you're Democrat or Republican. It always brings us together in a common dialogue of how do we protect and give them all the wares that they need in order to keep us safe. That played heavily on it. The CHIPS program for our children, the pension programs. I have my miners pension people that by 2022, an average miners pension of $586, and most of them are widows, will be lost if we don't do something. So these are all so seriously important for all of us. And I think that rose to really take the lead today. So with that, we'll answer a few questions if you want. We're going to have to run real
Let me
quick.
just make one comment on the CHIP program. I'm particularly happy that the Children's Health Insurance Program, which I remember sponsoring as a freshman senator when Orrin Hatch and Ted Kennedy approached me about their bill. And it's a 6-year reauthorization. It expired at midnight on Friday night, so it was absolutely urgent that it be extended in order not to disrupt or jeopardize health insurance for 9 million low-income children, including nearly 23,000 in the state of Maine.
And about the same in West Virginia.
So I'm very happy that in addition to opening government, we've assured that program will continue.
Let's start right here.
Okay, thanks, Senators. Can you walk us through what happened? Last night, there was optimism, and then pessimism grew overnight into early morning, and then you guys met, and then optimism came again. So can you talk about what specifically changed or
let me just say that basically every meeting that we were in Susan's office and the meetings that Susan and I had separately was always an optimistic meeting. We always knew that there was a pathway forward, and it was a reasonable pathway forward. Most importantly, should we've ever shut the government down? Absolutely not. But there was other people that felt differently. But the bottom line was not to keep it shut down. It should never be shut down past this past weekend. We knew that. So we were all moving in a very positive movement towards that. But leadership was still in that jousting, both back and forth. I'm only going to say this. The system must change. The rules of the Senate have to change. I'm speaking for myself, not for our bipartisan group. This is me. I don't believe that either leader on either side should have the powers that they have. That's me speaking that two people, whether it be Mitch or Chuck, whoever's in the majority and the minority, should be in a position of that much power to be able to set an agenda or stop an agenda when you have a force as strong as ours moving in a direction. And I will tell you, they listen. And that's what moved it, because we weren't backing off. We weren't going to be beat into submission. Oh, no, we're going to do this and that. But I think if we looked at anything, it's the rules of the Senate. How do we make the place work better? How come committees don't work? How come committee chairs don't have input? How come the appropriation bills aren't working? How do we get to this point? So with that being said, we were always optimistic, Susan.